Family, welcome to my Spiritual Counseling TV network. My name is Christie Ramirez and I'm your soul coach. So I am here today to announce a new special show which is also gonna be free. So this is gonna be a free monthly talk. I want to do it monthly. This is our mindset talks, and in these mindset talks is where we're gonna bring in themes in regards to psychology and mental health specifically. So these are going to be like mental health mindset talks, and the reason why I chose to name this show the Mindset Talks is because it really is all about the mindset. It's about shifting the perspective with whatever it is that you're dealing with mentally, and we can achieve this wholeness and health through shifting the perspective, through change of mentality and attitude. And this is what I have been dedicating many of my years in my studies in psychology. This is my main career that I first began this journey. I have over 10 plus years of experience, education in the field of psychology. And this is what I want to bring into these talks. And I thought that I'd make it very comfortable because these are supposed to feel like homey, cozy. When we're going deep into these topics that are very uncomfortable and can be a little even sensitive, we want to make sure that we feel the warmth of the love that's here to provide to us, and also the reassurance that we will be on this road to recovery. That's what happiness is, right? Happiness is the knowing that we are on the road to recovery from whatever it is that you're dealing with, whether it's trauma, which is what I dedicate a lot of my exclusive content to in my therapy sessions, as well as my motivational speeches. We are learning a lot about trauma recovery there. But in these talks, I want to bring in other topics like depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation that many people are unaware that people around them might be dealing with, because many people don't talk about this. These are deep secrets that people keep inside themselves, and just ruminating about these thoughts, whether it's on a daily basis or even every now and again, not only does that lower our vibration, but that really can get deeper and it can get more dangerous. It's like you're digging this hole for yourself, right? Per se, like you're digging your own grave mentally. And other topics can include grief and loss that many people have dealt with this past year and a half. I wrote actually a lot of themes that I'm going to be using this little booklet of mine. I had it right here, not knowing what to use it for. I was actually going to use it to list my clients, but I have another notebook for that. So this one's going to be dedicated to mindset talk themes. I wrote here also mental instability, because this could be, it could be caused as a result of anxiety, excessive worries, and fears. And might I add, even relationship troubles. And that's what my couples therapy talk show is about. But the couples therapy talk show, to be honest, is more of like an educational, research-based show, which is going to provide you just more facts, science of a couples therapy, how a couples therapy session, what it's based on basically. It doesn't really go deep into like specific application aspects. Yes, you can apply that to your everyday life, but that's just more if you want to know the facts about what makes a relationship work for the long haul and what doesn't. But in here, I am going to bring in topics as to what people might be dealing with, like day-to-day things that people deal with, such as breakups, divorces, not finding that one person, feeling rejected, all of these things that people deal with on a daily basis in the mundane 3D world. And that's what I want to bring into this into the show, into these mindset talks, more 3D based things that people deal with. So this is not even tapping so much into the spiritual journey, although it is very much intertwined. But I want to just tell you from a scientific, psychological point of view what the truth is and why it does relate to the spiritual journey. And that's if you want to learn more about the spiritual journey in specific, that's what my School of Light is for. That's what also the daily morning spiritual guidance videos are for, which are exclusive here. I do a free every Monday for the YouTubers, but everything else is exclusive. So if you want to become a member and get access to all of this knowledge, please become a member at christieramirez.com/TV. Make sure that you also sign up to my free mailing list to receive your weekly and monthly newsletters with extra blog articles that I write there. And check out my other free shows as well, provided by the Spiritual Counseling TV network, which are also on a monthly basis. Everything free is basically on a monthly, with the exception of the weekly message from the daily morning spiritual guidance. So you have the love show and also the special red carpet event, the fashion show, on a monthly basis. But that's really much tied into the spiritual journey and even the spiritual love, because that's not just about any couple. That's more about spiritual, transcendent kind of love. And that's very rare. So if you want that in your life, then that's what that show is for. And you might resonate with what I talk about there. So let's get started then with today's theme. I do want to mention and apologize because I did say in a post yesterday, as I'm recording this video, that I was going to do this fireside chat for Mental Health Day on a live Instagram video. I said I was going to do it live today at 2, but God gave me a detour and I had this already in the back of my mind though. It was there. I've been wanting to do this for quite some time, these mindset talks, because I actually did these like a year and a half, right when I started my business. This was actually the first show that I ever began, right even before I began my TV network or even my School of Light. This was first what I started soul coaching with. It was with these mindset talks, and they were about 30 to 45 minute free videos that I used to do for the public on my YouTube channel. And then I made them exclusive, and then I erased them because I thought, yeah, you know what, I want to do them over. I want to do them over with their appropriate trailer and just me more grown on the spiritual journey. And I feel like I'm more mature now, and I wanted to start over. So let's give this a second try and let's see how these go. And I'm sure that a lot of people are going to benefit from this, and I hope that it can really help someone out there. And if it does, if this is what you needed to hear at the moment that you did, please let me know. You don't know how much it means to me when people give me feedback to the work that I dedicate so much of my time and effort to do. It really makes all the difference, trust me, because you don't know me behind the scenes. And I really just do this from the bottom of my heart. I feel like this is my calling, my mission. I have nothing better else to do with my time, and of course, separate from my personal life. But I feel like the best thing that I can do in my career is give to others, to the collective, to the world. And that's what I'm here for and why I'm here. And so before we begin today's talk then, I do want to make myself some coffee. As you all know, I love this office that I have here because I redid it, if you all don't know. And bringing in this fireside with me today for these mindset talks, it's going to make all the difference in making us think and go deeper. I do really well with fireplaces and going deep into topics. All right, so let's get some milk. Perfect. All right, so I am not going to sugarcoat anything here. I am going to give it all straight to you and give you the truth about what is the truth, right? All right, so okay, let's bring in the theme first right now of depression. I think that's the more simple way to start today's episode, and realize that there's no shame if you've ever gone through depression. And yes, there's a difference between actual depression and just going through a momentary sad stage in your life. Many sadness in our life is verified, you can say, or is acceptable, because all of us go through ups and downs in life. All of us have challenges. No one is excluded, no matter if you're a light worker or not. Myself, I am a light worker, and I still have my day-to-day challenges in life, in my personal life, which is what is that I want to bring today. It's about the personal life that we're dealing with. Many people do get depressed about if it has to do with their financial work, their career, their mission work. But most of the time, that would only create sadness, let's say, if they're not in the right career or they're not doing what they love to do. Because if they are doing what they love to do, then the monetary compensation should not create sadness. I know at the same time, all of us need to survive. And this has been like a hot topic during these past 2 years, I want to say, with the economy fluctuating and being very unstable. It really has hit people's financial pockets and has increased these symptoms of anxiety, excessive worry, because many people have a family to support, and fear of what's next, fear of the future, fear of how they will survive. All of these fears are real. First of all, I want to reassure you and acknowledge your fears, because they are real. You're not here without reason to feel sad if you've ever felt sad or are dealing with this right now. And yes, there's a difference as well between depression and a depressed mood. That's something else that, the DSM differentiates as well. There's many different levels and categories that go into the DSM. And even though my belief is not really labeling people with the DSM, which is why one of the reasons why I don't accept insurance, is because I don't want to get associated with that system of how the government works with when it comes to psychology. Okay, if people accept insurances, believe me that they will need a label to put in your records. And I don't believe in that, because I think that that does more harm than good. Many psychologists have the belief that it can do them good because at least you know what's going on with you. But the reason why I don't believe in that is because that's not you. Whatever it is that's going on in your life is like an entity, is something outside of you that has entered you, because it's not the real you. You first need to acknowledge, actually, that this depressed person that is you right now is not the real you. That's the way out, because if you confirm and reconfirm that you are a depressed person, that you are whatever it is, bipolar, or you are whatever schizophrenic label you want to label yourself with, any mental health label that's actually people label with this, then that's going to be you, because you're going to associate yourself with that. And how is that a solution if not more than dumping more of an extra problem on top of you? Because now you have other people reaffirming what you are, and now there's a shame when you look at yourself in the mirror that is you, because you've been labeled as that. Labels are powerful. And I'm going to bring a metaphor today. I've watched this movie many times, but the movie Cinderella, for example. Cinderella was called Ella. That's her real name, Ella, right? Which is a very beautiful name, Ella. But it wasn't until her stepmother and then her stepsisters started calling her Cinderella. And the name Cinder came from the ashes of the fireplace when she was cleaning and she was feeling very low that day, and she slept by the fireplace that night, and she woke up with ashes all over her face. And that's when they started bullying her, and they ended up calling her Cinderella. And in the movie, with the real person, so the modern version of Cinderella, names are powerful, because she started to believe that she was Cinderella, and suddenly her confidence lowered, her self-esteem lowered, and she associated with herself to be a maid, to be less than her stepsisters and stepmother, and not realize that she was a princess all along. And so that's what I'm talking about. Whether this depression of yours was caused for whatever reason, maybe it could have been by bullying, right? That's another case that we can talk about as well. But you see how these labels are not you, okay? And that's one of my beliefs as to why I don't label, why I don't accept insurance, and why everything just needs to be paid right off, right? So if you want to book a personal soul coaching session with me, I am available. And you can book right now at ChristieRamirez.com/booking. And here I have my business cards, which I usually do give out when I meet people in person. You can check out my website, ChristieRamirez.com, and all my information's on the back. All right, so that's, I guess, a great way to start, because whatever it is that you're dealing with, if any of these topics resonate with you, it does not define you, okay? And so let's bring this topic then again of depression, right? Many people who are depressed is because they feel like there is no hope. Depression is basically a loss of hope. And what's the opposite of a loss of hope? It's faith. Faith and trust and surrender in the divine. And that's where spirituality comes in. Because spirituality, basically at the core of it, is just faith. Faith in a higher power, faith in God. And He is the only one that can release you from these mental turmoils, these fears created by the ego. And this is why I teach a lot A Course in Miracles in my School of Light. It's in my spiritual book club. Because I truly and strongly believe that that book really helps us to understand how is it that we can actually choose love over fear, because it's more simply said than done. And the doing of it is much harder when it comes down to it, when you're faced at it front to face, right? Face to face. And this is what a lot of people are needing to do. Have this courage to choose love over fear. And what would love entail? That would mean forgiveness as to whatever it is that caused you depression. Forgiveness with life in general, because depression can be tied in with bitterness, resentment, unforgiveness, a feeling of regrets as well. A lot of people are depressed because they regret not having gone after something in their life. And all of these things are real. All of these reasons are real. But it doesn't mean that you can't overcome it. Okay? And that's what I want to reassure you today. Okay, so don't think that this is a forever thing. It's just a temporary phase. What in the spiritual journey many people call dark nights of the soul. That's what the depression is like. It feels very dark and empty, like a void. And many of the times also this depression, let's just label it depression for today, but this is also created either by unfulfilled dreams, unfulfilled emotions, right? Having experienced even losses, grieving something, or just missing something in your life, feeling like something's missing. And what is this missing thing? Many of the times it has to do with love. And remember that love is abundant. Love entails everything, not only romantic love, but it's love for God, love for your mission, love for yourself, especially yourself, right? Because whatever partner that we attract is a direct reflection of ourselves. It's the mirror. And no, this is not about like you needing to be exactly the same. But this can be related to anything, even your friend's circle, are reflections of who you are within somewhat, right? Because naturally, as human nature, we all experience projection. I know that many people, both in the spiritual and psychology community, see projection as a negative thing. But I don't necessarily see it as a negative thing per se, because it has its pros and cons. Projection is just merely, it's like a projector, right? Like a movie projector. You project something onto the wall of what you want to see. You can use this for the positive. When you want something positive, hence the law of attraction, you envision what you want in that wall. You put up the image, that movie that you want to experience in your life. And that's why we do all these exercises, like my new journal. Why we do envisioning work. Why you daydream. Why you do vision boards that we did for this new year here at the Spiritual Counseling TV Network. So if you want access to that video, it's exclusive. Become a member and you can watch that whole 2 hours. All of these exercises are for this purpose, is to manifest what it is that we want. Depression is created by lack of being able to manifest what it is that you want. Because if you have everything that you want in your life, what is there to be depressed about or sad about? Now maybe there is this love, because love is also a manifestation. True love is manifestation. So if you don't have love in your life, then you don't have everything that you want in your life, right? If you truly had everything that you would want in your life, there would be no need for sadness. Okay, so if love is not in that category, it's because maybe you didn't prioritize that, and maybe you didn't give it your attention. Okay, so at the end of the day, you see how depression is actually one's own fault per se. And I know that many people don't want to hear that. But depression is created by self. It could be a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it's also based on free will. Because wherever it is that we're at in life, wherever we find ourselves, whatever phase as well that we're at, is all created by self. God doesn't put this upon us. And if God puts upon us lessons along the way, or detours or delays, it's only because maybe you're not ready, you haven't done the work, or you haven't passed those tests, right? And if you're not yet where you need to be, and like I said, it's created by self, it's either because you're still in the apprenticeship, you're still a student at life, and maybe there's just more learning needing to be done. So there's nothing that you can do about it. And that's where the remedy for depression is acceptance. Acceptance of what is in the present, and acceptance of what happened in the past as well. And that's what my trauma recovery videos are for, the therapy sessions that we do here. It really helps us with these tools that we get, how to accept what happened in the past. Past traumas, past failures, past hurts, past mistakes. All of these things can create depression, because guess what? Now there's regret and there's guilt based on those past mistakes. And part of what A Course in Miracles teaches us as to what is God's plan for salvation, what's going to save us, is guiltlessness. So living without guilt. And living without guilt is basically the same as saying living without shame. Not shaming ourselves for where we're at, for not being where we want to be, not shaming ourselves for past failures or mistakes. And now these failures can be anything. They can be achievement oriented, but they can also be love based, like relationship failures. Many people who have been divorced deal with this because they feel that now they're a failure and now they're not worthy of love for some reason. And I've said this many times. Or maybe that's why they settle, because now they think that they don't deserve the best because somehow they're tainted. It's kind of somehow like back in the day when the woman's virtue, once it was taken, they were seen as somewhat like trash, right? Like they were not worthy of this true royalty anymore, to be wed to a man of high status because they had lost their virtue, right? That was the mentality back in the day. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I've been watching a lot of movies and shows based on past eras. I really love that era. And this was one of the things that went on in castles between the kingdom, in the kingdom, in between the kingdom, right? Hidden beneath even what the other people outside the kingdom might have expected. There was a lot of corruption, a lot of strictness as well, and a lot of shaming. And this shaming is what created depression, what created this sense of spiritual poverty, because now they felt that they were lacking of value, of worthiness. And that's at the end of the day what's at the core of depression: lack of worth, lack of self-value, lack of self-love. And this is what needs to be worked on. And this is what we work on if you were to book a personal soul coaching session, hence a therapy session, because this is stuff that needs to be worked on a continuous, regular basis. It's not just something that I can just tell you, hey, this is what it is. But at least you know what it is. But now the how and the actual process needs to be taken, which is where action comes in. These are the efforts and the steps that you need to take. I did create a program, which is a 10-week soul coaching program called A New You, which can help you with this, because these are generalized themes that can be applied to any situation. So if you are somewhat maybe feeling like you don't want to seek personal therapy, or this is just something that maybe some people might feel embarrassment about, or you just might not have the resources, then this program, which is basically the price of one session and even less, is going to help you. This is an online virtual program, educational program that you can use, and it's going to help you. Have a journal with you, that's all that you need. Do the assignments and listen to those videos as many times as you need as well. And that's why I created that program, because I know that, you know, some people sometimes just want this class, this like teacher and mentor, to have them at whenever they can do it, right? At your own timetable and whenever you have the time, and learning at your own pace. That's actually how I did a lot of my healing. I did a lot of my healing through self-study, but of course with mentors, with others that I seeked help out for, not necessarily personally, but I did seek out their programs, their videos, everything that they taught. And that's what made me this person that I am today. And that's what I wish to bring to you today as well. So that would be my take on depression, and why it's something that I feel is very overcomable. But the secret is tackling it when it's still at the very initial stages. Don't wait till it's already too deep. And then it's going to be very difficult to get back out. You're going to actually need help then, because you won't be able to climb out that cave alone. You're going to need a rope. You're going to need assistance. You're going to need support. And that's again what I'm here for, right? If you find yourself that you're so deep in there that you're even contemplating suicide, then that's where you really need to seek help. You're not alone. Know that many people might be dealing with this as well. Seek support systems as well. If many of you out there are dealing with this and you tell me that you would want me to create a group therapy sessions, I can do that. I actually was doing that about a year ago, but I felt like people didn't really need it because I didn't see people show up. So if people show up, I will begin those again. I would love to do that. And I feel like that can be a great support group that we can all get in together and talk about it. Remember that depression can also be created by addictions, negative habits that maybe you feel that you can't break. And this creates self-shame. And again, you're not in this alone, because that is overcomable. All addictions are basically, the core reason of addictions is basically because there's a sense of escapism, that you want to numb because you're not happy with your reality. So what you need to do is not necessarily take superficial measures to even recover from those addictions, but rather is actually finding what's going to give you joy in life. Because when you find that genuine joy, there will be no need for those addictions anymore. You see, the addictions are self-medication, a self-remedy to try to make yourself well and just try to make yourself better. It's like giving yourselves a placebo per se. It's not going to work ever because it doesn't have the right remedy. It's not the true medicine. The true medicine is always going to be happiness. You've heard the saying that says laughter is the best medicine. And this comes from love. This comes from true genuine connections, relationships, and actually being in a place in your life where you feel good about yourself. So self-love is really important. And that's what needs to be taken a look at. That's what needs to be healed. And that's what my program will help you get to as well. Okay? Of course, relationship troubles are always at the core of this too. It could be either heartbreak, breakups, divorces, like I said, expecting a relationship even to work, expecting a person to be your one, expecting even the unexpected, right? Any sort of expectation, like I said, is only going to create frustration. But there is a secret to this as well. Having expectations is not a bad thing when you only expect the positive. So this is sort of like the law of attraction. If you only expect positive things to happen in your life, if you only expect good people to show up for you, then this is what you will attract. But now if you expect it to be exactly the way that you want it to, now you're trying to pick the people. You're trying to pick how the situation is going to manifest. Now you're trying to do God's job, right? And that's where we need to let go of the reins of control. That's what surrender truly means, is surrendering to how it's going to show up, but expecting that yes, this dream will show up, will come true. You will get what you want, your goal, You just don't know how exactly it's going to look like, the details per se. And yes, you know, when we do envisioning work, we do envision the details. Like one of my assignments, for example, for attracting and manifesting your dream partner and your dream relationship is envisioning and manifesting the qualities and manifesting how you want to experience that relationship, that partner, but not how they're going to look like. Not how they're going to look like in the physical, hence their features, etc. Or even, you know, nothing. You don't expect anything. It's a complete blank. You empty your mind to allow for the genius of the divine. You know, just like when we're sculpting projects or when we're doing anything artistic, we have a picture, we have a blueprint of how we know we want it to look like in architectural work, right? In architectural work, we create the blueprint, and yes, we create even how we envision the building to look like. But at the end of the day, until the people actually inhabit that building, you're not going to exactly know how the energy is going to be in there and how it's going to feel like, right? You just kind of knew how you wanted it to see in the exterior, but you don't know how it's going to look 7 years down later, or however many years later, after people have inhabited, moved out, moved in, and even maybe corrupted the energy in that building. So what I'm saying is that you need to look beyond just envisioning the physical. Yes, you can envision the physical if you have a type per se, or you have a specific dream, but don't get attached to that certain expectation, because maybe God might have a better way for you, a better route, a better option that you maybe might have overlooked by being closed-minded. Because let's say that this architecture, he or she envisioned this building to be yellow and very tall, right? But then God said, why not white? White is going to bring in more light. And so then this person surrendered, and then his vision came true, because the way that he envisioned how he wanted to feel in that building was it, because God gave him the way. He wasn't attached to it being a yellow building per se. Okay, and this is what a really great example, thank you God, because this is how everything works in life. You are entitled to ask for what you want, but don't be too specific with it. You can be specific with boundaries. You see how I gave you this example. You can envision this building to be tall and beautiful, and you want it to be a happy environment for people to feel cozy in that building, people to feel at home and stay there and be loyal to that home, and write good reviews about that home and say wonderful things about it, about the amenities, about everything that the building has to offer, right? Let's say it's an apartment building. But then maybe all he needed to give up was the fact that he wanted the wall of the building to be yellow. God thought that it might be a better option to be white. And that's where I'm getting at, because that's how God works with light workers, with everybody, all of these souls on this earth. He always has the answer, the way, but we need to surrender, and that's the test, right? That's the test of the ego, which is what A Course in Miracles teaches us. How willing are you to surrender? And how teachable really are you? Because the ego will make you believe that you think you know it all and that you have the best way, but maybe you don't. And again, that's what this lesson is about, because that's what depression is created from as well. Wanting your way that might not be the right way, right? And this is stubbornness. This is resistance to growth. This is just plain not listening to God's instruction. And that's what the journey is about. That's true surrender, and that's what's going to give us a peace of mind. And that is the opposite of depression. When you're living in peace with complete acceptance and surrender, you're going to feel your best. You're going to feel at joy, and you're going to feel that you have the world at your fingertips, because now you're co-creating with God, with the universe, which is of God. God created the universe, not only earth, but everything in the universe. And now you're co-creating with heaven as well. And this is only going to give you the highest vibrational kind of life and love and light. And, you know, this is a great point that I brought today. That's a great example. Thank you. Let's see what other maybe insights want to come in today. If I am to give you a little homework assignment, if any of you are dealing with depression or grief, loss, relationship troubles specifically, let's highlight these as the ones touched on today. Which they really all tie in together, to be honest, all of this. The homework assignment would be to reflect. Reflect what's at the core of this manifestation of this symptom, because that's what it is. This is only symptoms. Mental instability are all of these. Depression, anxiety, or depressed mood, sadness, grief, loss. We're going to talk specifically more about grief in another one, because grief and loss can go even deeper, when you've lost actually someone through death, or even when you've experienced a loss of a very close relationship that you had in your life, right? Like divorce. If it was a relationship that was, truly solid, right? Because that's why I'm saying there's different levels as well to relationship losses, because not all the relationships that one has in your life are that serious per se, right? And that's also hard to hear, because a lot of these sadnesses that are created by these relationship losses are more ego-based. Rejection, right? Rejection, or feeling like something's wrong with you, shame, guilt, public image and reputation. But all of these are superficial reasons, because at the end of the day, the only judgment that matters is God's judgment, and He sees you for who you are, for whatever happened in these relationship troubles, whether there was abuse, which is something that we can also talk about deeper in another session. And all of these can be overcome again, because when you forgive and you accept this as not personal, and that's where you accept that everybody has their own issues within. And these are the different levels of consciousness that come into play that Freud and Adler taught. And actually, to end today's session, I think it would be a great time to bring in my notes, which are actually right here, so it's absolutely meant to be. I have some psychology notes that I wrote a year ago as well, which actually was one of my mindset talks back then. And I did a lecture on these different levels of consciousness, and I'm going to bring it up here because I think it's very important. Let's look for it. Perfect. So these are just to give you a brief note, which we will bring into another psychology mindset talk. We can talk about the history of psychology as well, because I have a diagram here. I have a whole bunch of notes on how psychology came about, which I think would be a great lecture to give exclusive in my School of Light, or maybe in my Spiritual Counseling TV network. Let me know how you all want to do it. I might do my lectures as special events here at the Spiritual Counseling TV network. I think that would be a really great idea, because the School of Light is just more spiritual teachings per se, so I don't kind of want to mix the two of them. I want to keep the Spiritual Counseling TV network more psychology based. But this is what I want to bring into today as a way to explain the ego and the human mind, okay, and how this all relates to all of these mental instability symptoms that manifest. Okay, so I think that these notes for today, not all of them, but a little bit of them. Okay, so let's begin with this one. Let's begin with Freud's view of the human mind. He developed what is called the mental iceberg. And what his mental iceberg consisted of was 3 levels of the consciousness: the id, the superego, and the ego, right? So we have all heard of the term the ego. The ego at the very core is the self, but it's not the higher self, because that's where the different stages of emotional body come in, which I actually also have notes on that. That'll be a different mindset talk. But the self is based on this 3D self, the reality principle, the self that we are embodying, living in this 3D world. So our thoughts fall into this category, and even our perceptions, which is versus knowing, and which is what A Course in Miracles also touches on. That's a really great book, again, for healing mental health issues. It's like mental therapy there, because A Course in Miracles has taught us that there's a significant difference between perception and knowingness or knowledge. Knowingness can only come when you're in complete purity and fortitude of spiritual guidance, when you're in complete alignment and purification. When you're in perception, perception is basically assumption. So now you are assuming these fears to be true, these illusions to be real, right? And that's what creates negative thinking, rumination, which is basically repetitive thoughts. And you can use rumination for the positive if you do positive thinking affirmations, right? And that's why we always do an affirmation in the daily morning spiritual guidance videos. I give you an affirmation of the day that's going to serve you the best. And so this is the conscious level. This is where you're wide awake. This is the conscious, the one that you're thinking, and maybe sometimes even overthinking. It's the intellectual level as well. Okay? This is contact with outside world, ideas, thoughts, feelings. So emotions fall into this category as well, because of course emotions will always interfere with your thinking, of which you are aware. But this doesn't include the subconscious emotions that are deeply buried within, that are deep within the ocean per se, right? You can also see this metaphor as the levels of the ocean. This ego is like the shore. It's very touchable with your feet, your bare feet. It's the superficial of it, the most superficial of all. Now, if you go deeper, a little bit more into the shallowness of the ocean, you're going into the superego, which stores 2 sections and areas. First of all, are memories, right? Memories from this world, as you can recall. So your childhood, if you remember your childhood, of course your teenagers, your young adulthood, and your adulthood. Memories can also include traumas, right? It can also include loving memories, pleasant memories, and unpleasant memories. But it also contains stored knowledge, your sense of right and wrong. You know best, all of us know best, because we've always been taught with this. And this is part of the memories as well that we've been taught as children by either our parents, by society, whatever it is that you grew up with. And this is where the spiritual awakening comes in as well. Because in order to relearn, we do need to go deep into the superego, which is the subconscious level, and be willing to erase and start over with this stored knowledge of what is, of what we, I don't want to say brainwashed, but what we've been taught from a little child. Because maybe, not every person's situation, but maybe it's not just the right answer. That's why in my School of Light, we need to be willing to return to innocence. The rebirth is part of this. Being able to relearn what we thought was correct and might not be the right answer. And this is where humbleness comes in. And teachableness. Are you that teachable? Are you teachable, right? And these Akashic memories as well, that go back into ancestral knowledge, and that is what my School of Light's for, right? But if we're talking here strictly mundanity here, mundaneness, mundane knowledge, these are memories that you have already, what you in your brain have learned in this incarnated life, okay? And so this is what's called your ego ideal, hence your moral guardian, what your ideal self would be as well. Everybody would love to be their best self, a new you. This is what the subconscious level comes in. That's where my A New You 10-week soul coaching program comes in, because it's, you know who you want to be. You want to reinvent yourself to be the best person that you can be, your ideal self. This is what the superego is. And that's why it's called superego, because it's superior to the ego, right? it knows best. It knows better. It's like the parent within you, telling you what's right, the morality scale. But whether or not you're willing to listen is part of the ego, which in this ego, we all know what's in there is pride, vanity, enviness. All of the major 7 sins as well would fall into the category of the ego, but not necessarily as stuck in there, but just as hurdles, right? Because not everybody has a difficult time with it. Some people can transcend them very easily. And that's what I teach in my weekly angel study in my School of Light, how to transcend basic human distortions that keep people stuck in this ego and not being able to ascend and transcend and transform into their super ego, their ideal self that they want to become, the new self, right? The subconscious level also is what's called the material that can be easily recalled. Okay, so it's memory that's right there within your grasp. Okay, so now let's move down to the deepest of all levels, the deep ocean, the deepness, the most profound of it all, which is the id. Now the id is the tricky one, because this is where all our deepest desires, both good and bad, underlie. It's like the hidden, right? This is the pleasure principle as well, hidden desires, unconscious urges and desires that will manifest if they are the negative desires, if the super ego is not strong enough. And if it's healthy desires that you wish to manifest, like hidden dreams that you would like to manifest, then this is just basically based on hard work more than anything, right? On faith, on persistency, consistency, all of these healthy qualities that make dreams and goals come true, right? Accomplishments. So this id contains lots of deeply buried emotions, fears, even violent motives. So control issues can fall into here. You know, even, like I said, violent motives can be anger issues. Psychopathology can fall into this category. Of course, that's very rare. Unacceptable sexual desires. That's what got a lot of people in trouble as well. Irrational wishes, immoral urges. Back in the day, this was manifested as incest, right? Arranged marriages, really having their heart set on someone else. These are just examples. And fears that maybe you won't get what you want, right? Or fears that are deeply hidden because of traumas, right? So you can combine them. We have shameful experiences. So now these are past mistakes that you are not able to let go of. And selfish needs. So this is also where the ego comes in. Because part of this transcendence is reaching this state of selflessness and being of service. So the unconscious level, which is this one, because it's unconscious, is very dormant. But in order to truly do the healing, which is what we do in these but in order to really be able to do the healing that needs to be done, we need to be able to confront these fears and go deep into the unconscious level. Wake up whatever has been put to sleep and dormant in your unconscious and face it. Face these fears or whatever irrational, immoral urges might be buried within you. And once you do, you'll feel more free than ever, because these are heavy burdens that people carry. And it's at an unconscious level, which definitely can manifest in your physical body. And this is why I say that health is composed at 4 levels. There is the spiritual health, emotional health, mental health, and physical health. And you can say that the spiritual health is at the deepest of them all, which would fall into this category of unconsciousness, and even deeper than that. And if any of these mental or emotional states are not completely healed or healthy, it will manifest as physical symptoms, right? And this is why mental health is very important, and this is why therapy and psychology is very important. So I really do appreciate and acknowledge all of the psychologists out there who do this work and take it seriously, because this really is important for people's mental health state. And especially during these times, right, that people are dealing with fear more now than ever, not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow in the world. And this also can create all of these mental instabilities, right? So just a generalized sense of what it is that we're dealing with today is very important. All right, so I think we can leave this for another mindset talk. I think for today's, we've given a lot of information about the unconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious, and all the difference between the three and how it relates to depression and recovering from depression or any grief or loss, relationship troubles, anxiety, excessive worry, or any mental instability that you might be dealing with. And if you have any further questions as well, please feel free to send me your questions either by email or comment down below this video. And please make sure to sign up to my free mailing list at christieramirez.com and become a member of my Spiritual Counseling TV network to get access to all my educational content. Your weekly therapy sessions, which are over an hour, my couples therapy talk show, my weekly motivational speeches, my Q&A radio show where I answer even more questions based on those sessions. And of course, check out also, which is also exclusive, my Women's Forum Empowerment Show series, where we're bringing in women's history and the empowerment that happens by relearning what happened in our past and then making a difference here in the present to better our future. And then we also have now these mindset talks, which is free, of course. And there's special events as well, special lectures that I will be doing as well year round, which gave me a great idea to talk more about psychology. And I know that it can benefit you because when you have a deeper understanding of a certain topic, many people want to know the deep why something is the answer. And this is going to give you the answer, and there's going to be just no other option but to believe it, right? When you have the physical evidence, the intellectuality, and the deeper understanding of this truth, the way out, how we can heal and how we can recover back to wholeness, back to health and wellness. So thank you all again for watching today's mindset talk. I had a pleasure being with you all here today. My name is Christie Ramirez and I'm your soul coach. Please make sure to follow all my social media. I am on Instagram. I have 5 Instagrams right now. At Christie Ramirez _ is my main Instagram. At spiritualcounseling.tv is the Instagram page where I do my daily heavenly podcast show, a minute long, absolutely free. And then if you click on the story, you get an extra quote of the day. You can check out my Spanish page at Christie Ramirez _ en español for all you Spanish speakers out there. There's great stuff happening for all the Spanish speaking people. First of all, there's a spiritual book club at my School of Light, also in Spanish. And also now, starting next week, all of my newsletters, which I do for the Spiritual Counseling TV network, as well as the articles that I do for my Health and Wellness Forum, are going to be translated into English and Spanish. So you can sign up to that, to the blog section basically, which is going to be an extra feature coming very soon. So you can just stay on the top of this by signing up to my mailing list and following me on my social media, because I always post updates there. And then of course my French page at Christie Ramirez _ en français, and my health and wellness page, Body, Mind, and Spirit at Christie Ramirez _ Body, Mind, Spirit. And that's it for today, everyone. Let's hope that we all can really take all of this information and dissect it really well in our brains so that we can come better people next time that we all gather. And I hope to have some of you have the courage to show up and come to me if you really do need the help. And again, I will see you all next time. Namaste.